Hello if you are new here, and welcome back. If you are aware of me and my content, I don't usually make videos like this, and I'm sorry for adding to the endless complaints Vrchat already gets. But I have an issue with Vrchat suspending its smaller and or niche creators, especially for stupid things. Now this is how I'm about to go about this video. I'm going to read two posts that I was made aware of by a Discord ping in said community server announcement channel by another more known creator named HANGOUT. The two posts I'll be reading is by Akinarifox. It's arguably fair, but I have a slight disagreement because of my own personal experience with this community that, I'm gonna be honest, hurts my soul to a degree, because it will continue to spread the wrong message of the broader community that our subculture already has been given. Now, you are probably wondering which community I'm talking about. Yes, I'm indeed talking about fat furries. Now, before you feel repulsed and believe that they deserve it from what you've seen from other channels that mentioned us, not all of us are people that will fetishize that within that group. If they do it, it will be behind closed doors with other consenting adults a part of that group. But because it bleeds out, people misrepresent and misunderstand it, just like the rest of the furry fandom and how we misunderstand each other. But I will get more into that once I get to my response section of the video. With majority of it seems to be good, but then it also shows a bad look and possibly could lead the community to using the suggestion to witch hunt people into what they believe how things should be. Next, I will be doing a comparison of a friend that got suspended and a fake sensitive jerk of a creator world that has things that could be argued to be on the verge of suspension and why there needs to be some form of change. And a Akinarifox post unfortunately might be the only suggestion. Now, getting into the tweet, it says, usually I never share you to ask something in a serious tone, but please let us poke VRC so we can enjoy adult content in the future still. Please reset, and if you have a VRC account, upvote this topic. I did a big poll on VRC feedback forums summarizing the problem of having no real functioning space as a kink creator on VRC, and today it skyrocketed from around 50 to over 150 upvotes. Thank you for that. We're slowly in a range which VRC cannot ignore us forever. They should first give us spaces to exist before deleting all our content and creativity. Just because it's partly suggestive or kinky, VRC should learn that it's nice to give a solution first before doing the purge. If we just whine in chats and on social media and change nothing, what might be canceled next? I don't want to find out. This is their feedback response. 18 plus gated worlds and avatars with verified only visibility for adult communities. Currently, you have a choice between public or private worlds and avatars. Everything that is private is hidden and inaccessible. As an artist, no one should find your private content if you have no direct link. Private avatars can't be used from other players. Of course, it makes sense that you can't access other people's avatars that were meant to represent just them. But commissioned avatars can't be NSFW. Otherwise, it would be against TOS if they just be uploaded publicly by the artist. Millions of avatars, the mod team can't go through every single one, and I sometimes ran into clearly public NSFW uploads in avatar search worlds. Private worlds can't be saved to favorites without programs like VRCX, making them even harder to find. But also some creators are giving access to kinky private worlds via link, and everyone can get into that world via said link. So even non-verified people would roam around NSFW worlds, but no one would even notice. But why not using the existing 18 plus verified badge for worlds and avatars similar to how it is already used for accessing instances? I already see request only groups in which you are not accepted if not age verified, and instances being age gated to allow kinky communities to not be hidden in private and to be legal. I recommend a similar step for worlds and avatars. All the points above would not be a problem if we would have a third category for both avatars and worlds 18 plus. Every not verified person could not wear such an avatar. Every not verified person would see such an avatar as a robot, not showing them. Every not verified person could not join any instance to such a world, even when having the link from chats they shouldn't roam in. 18 plus worlds and avatars cannot be invisible and not listed for not verified people. Artists would not have to hide their content anymore, never to be seen from anyone. No one have to deal with very unhandy downsides anymore, like being unable to favorite private worlds or can't upload NSFW avatars publicly for friends or customers. It would give a safe space for not just the kinky bubbles out there, but also for masses of vanilla NSFW people who are searching for communities that are not nearly invisible I think age verification will spread much more with such an update. Why even bother? Recently, I received many messages of friends who uploaded TZ worlds or ran TZ groups in meetups. VRC is not just used by minors. Those friends were temp banned and their groups and worlds deleted. Sometimes content that was uploaded for 5 years to public and people had nice memories there, worlds with hundreds of thousands of visits and thousands of favorite entries. The need for such worlds and groups is obvious. It is also often isn't obvious why those groups or worlds had no naked characters in them, but instead kink groups and worlds with suggestive content that they were into. People in my bubble starting to be confused about what it's okay and what is not anymore, especially because there's no warning, no set private until review, just deletion and temp ban, and the explanation mail always just states against our guidelines. Yeah, which of those exactly and what detail in that world was too much? People can't really learn from that. Just repeating that they're always doing and running into the same problem again. VRC mods being stricter to keep the public free of any lewd content. Okay, but then give us a red light district at the harbor. If there was an 18+ option for worlds, every kink content creator automatically categorized their work there to be safe, but not longer hidden. So many users would have a reason to breathe a sigh of relief, and your mod team would be way less in stress. VRC itself stated, let adults be adults. Yes, give us places that are gated by a bouncer checking your ID, not just tolerating hidden black markets that are accessible through a hole close to the sewers. Now, after reading all of that, I feel like the way it was presented started great. Then it dived into the thing that I see all over the internet that people will magically be repulsed by and disagree with: the word kinks. Now, that isn't the full meaning of the post. The post is really about making use of their ID verification so adults can make their adult content for that said group without just some random sudden deletion of their word, which is honestly a great idea. If VRC do believe that adults should have the power to express themselves, I'm all for that idea, kinda. Again, I will explain why later, but please, if you agree with Akinarifox, go and upvote this so we can have more opportunities for adults to have their creativity and freedom on VRChat. But nowadays, people will already throw that idea out the window because I just hear people talking about minors online like it's their own children. I'm all about protecting kids like everyone else, but are we about to ignore the fact that adult tones and humors in kids media that a minor wouldn't understand, or possibly a teenager? Believe it or not, when I was around 14 or 15, I didn't even know what a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship was. That's due to the fact of having barely any friends at school and being raised differently, and ultimately I'm a slow learner while being on my console for the majority of my life. But besides my side tangent, you should get the point. Adults need to monitor their kids and even teenagers, so we can avoid hearing the same video about how VRChat isn't safe for kids and trolling YouTubers suddenly wants a moral grandstand while also having majority of their content about provoking literally everyone in every age group. And that gives VRChat a bad name, and that's why they are probably on this weird train to just hit everyone and everything they deem as, and I quote, your account was found to be in violation of our adult and sexual nudity guidelines. And they don't even say what. They just say where it is, but not what it is specifically. They show nothing, and it's just used as something to get away with and scrub off, like the user is just a speck of dirt versus their bottle of Kleenex. Or it could be corporate greed, but you know, they don't give transparency, so we're left to ponder and assume. Now, there were people also against the idea because of one main reason. People are afraid to give their IDs to a company called Persona. Now, I don't know all that stuff. I watched people's coverage on it. I recommend checking out Deep Humor videos on that stuff. He follows up on all things related to the internet and verification, and trust me, with a series of videos he explains about them, people certainly have a good reason why they don't want to touch the verification company Persona. Welcome to this part of the video where I compare and contrast two creators and tell me, how does this make any form of sense? The two worlds I will compare are the Fat Fur Gastro Park and the Fat Fur Paradise Park. Now, these worlds is for Fat Furs. I decided to get these images that could potentially warrant world suspension, but somehow the guy that makes his world open to everyone and does safe for work content like I do somehow gets suspended. That's completely insane. Jack always told me that his world is a safe space for everyone, and he always stood by that. But he would get threats from crazy people about some specific guy reporting him to the FBI because they believe fat furs are strictly 18 plus. And that's something I should talk more about in my golden pet peeves video in the future. Nobody deserves to get told that, especially to a creator who wants to be open to everybody. Now tell me, what do you think got Jack World taken down? Was it the Gastro Park billboard of Jack Sona? Could it be a sign called the Hole of the Predators? Would it be IX Studio model just chilling? Maybe it was Jackson IX Studio Moro Dragon model standing there in the avatar section as a showcase. Or is it possibly the two big fat purple dragons on the apartments? By the way, it's called Praxis Apartments. That's why the statues are up there. Can you guys tell me how any of this is provocative? It's a creator's work in their form and image. A hangout spot for the genre of all fat furs, but instead it's been taken down because someone in the Office of VRC Moderation believes that this is crossing the line of adult sexual activity and nudity guidelines. Now, if they want furry avatars to have clothes, they gotta say that, like seriously, because that doesn't make sense. A persona is just a persona, a character. Nobody judges Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life for being pantsless, or Jake from My Gym Partner is a monkey. Now, you're gonna say, well, they got a shirt, but Eduardo from Fosters of Imaginary Friends doesn't, and he's hairy. So now you might say, they are iconic cartoon characters. Then I'm gonna be honest and say, at that point, I think you're just being disingenuous towards furries because you guys just got some weird motives, especially towards its subcultures. Because not everyone can get a character they think is cool onto a TV show or popular media. Now for the comparisons of the other world, which I'm going to say this world hasn't been taken down for the violation Gastro Park got. Welcome to Fat Fur Paradise Park. Let's be honest, you could tell Jack World was a bit more like a hangout place. But this Paradise Park is where you are on an island, and you could probably argue that with its contents, someone suggests it could be taken down worthy. Like the many portraits of fat fur creators art on the walls for all eyes to see, and you want to know the crazy part? It's not even bad because it's not provocative, and that's what people should mainly look for in order for it to be deemed as sexual. Now, here's the kicker. So be ready for what I'm about to tell you. Ready? Now, I'm going to put up a clip of the fattest model sitting in that world. It makes active sounds. It has stomach noises. It burps. If you walk up to it and click near its head, it says slip and fall down, parentheses, vor. If you click on it, it swallows you. Now I'm going to be generally honest. How did Jack get his world hit when Lars did something that would probably tick off anyone? So do I think Lars should be suspended? Of course not. Believe it or not, all of that is okay and is still a form of art and creativity, even though others find it disgusting or weird. But it's not illegal to be disgusting or weird. So do what you normally do if you don't like something. Don't go out looking for it or messing with it. Censorship is stupid, ruining things for other people because your personal belief literally is a personal problem. So with that icing on the cake, I would like to give my full response on why I'm making this video and why I deem it is important. So if you weren't aware, I'm a creator myself, especially on Vrchat. My best friend told me about Vrchat when I used to be on console, and he said I would like it. I wasn't sure at first because my other friend told me the Meta Quest was like another console, so I stuck with Xbox. It's until that best friend showed me furry avatars. Of course, I was down to get in and try to make my own, which came so late, but eventually I did. My goal was to make my characters a reality, so I started texturing pre-made models just like my characters, with the only semblance is mainly being the colors and design. Now from the start, I always had fat characters. And I want to update and make my Vrchat avatar world 100 times better than my current one. I want to make their locations and homes and even have the model of the characters walk around and you can talk to them and they can give you a bit of dialogue to know a bit about them, along with avatar pedestals and the model maker name with it in the same area. I personally think Vrchat would be a great place for me to start on that creation, but with how things are turning out and decisions they're making, they will most likely take it down because they would think it's violating their guidelines on some level. No fat person wants to be seen as some sexual object. If you look at someone's fat character and say it's fetish related, I promise you are part of the problem. Because imagine a fat person walking out of their house. Are you going to tell them to go back inside because the sight of you is harming kids? That's literally, for one, rude and total discrimination. It's going to be a horrible day when all of a sudden fat characters are just seen as sexual objects and not the character. Misrepresenting the whole point of someone's creation because your personal belief is sick and you need to reevaluate your mindscape. Ask questions and stop assuming someone's work. Is it really asking for too much? Akinari idea, once again, I have no issue with, but my fear is how people will use it in order to witch hunt. I'm mainly on the outside of the fat fur content sphere, and I met most of them saying one thing. It's an 18 plus thing, which I disagree with. People can make fat characters and it doesn't have to be sexual. And now if Akinari idea is implemented, and let's say a certain creator doesn't use the 18 plus verified only for their work that other adults would think should be adult only, well, it's simple. They would excommunicate you. They will call you a risk and call you a child predator. That's the risk people like me have to take when you just make harmless content for all audiences, and it sucks. I lost friends over this popular belief of how fat fur should be, and I find it degrading, and that's why it's so hard to call myself a fat fur when you're seen as some threat to minors, but just making characters and uploading avatars with a texture design that is based around the said character. Now, don't worry, I have a small group of friends that I'm cool with and appreciate, like my bros, but I hope this gave you something to think about reasonably in the long run, and hopefully my next time I talk, it will be in the Virtual Furry Museum and Golden Pet Peeves. My final statement to this is, I'm not going to change for nobody. I will do what I believe is right, and if Vrchat, the community in it, and even the community I try to be a part of, doesn't like what I create, then I'll just move it elsewhere in my own space. Thanks for watching, and have a good night or day.